left it.
Make sure mine's off. All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's Xenia City Council meeting. Today is Thursday, March 25th, 2021. And at this time, we will rise for a moment of silence, followed by a call to order. Good morning. Please rise. Thank you very much. I am going to go ahead and ask the mayor to do our Pledge of Allegiance, followed by roll call.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor Sarah Mays. And at this time, I will ask for a roll call, please.
Vice President Dean? Here. Councilman Scrivens?
Here.
Councilwoman Dean?
here.
Councilman Branham?
Here.
Councilman Urschel?
Here.
Mayor Mays?
Here.
President Smith?
Here. Thank you very much. For those that are watching, our meeting is open to the public tonight, so yay for that. We invite everyone to attend the meeting. We will do the best we can right now with social distancing practices, so we appreciate everyone's cooperation with that. First on our agenda is the approval of minutes from our March 11th, 2021 meeting. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written. Moved by Councilman Scrivens.
Second.
And seconded by Councilwoman Dean. Any corrections, additions, or changes to tonight's minutes? The last meeting's minutes, sorry about that. Not seeing anyone. Roll call to accept the minutes, please.
Vice President Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Urschel?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. There are no special presentations scheduled for tonight's meeting. First up is the audience comments. At this time, guests are asked to come to the podium. Limit your comments 2 to 3 minutes. Keep in mind that we do have a public hearing after old business, which you will have an opportunity to speak for or against the public hearing at that time. So if anybody would like to come to council and address us, please come to the podium at this time. State your name, address for the record. Going once? Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, item G is old business. First item, resolution 2021-letter Q. This is a second reading, and this is amending policy EBM-310 titled Health and Dental Insurance for the City of Xenia Employees Benefits Manual. And this was originally introduced by Councilman Urschel at our last meeting on March 11th.
I'd like to make a motion
Thank you. Move for passage.
for passage, yes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by the mayor. At this time, I'll ask if any of our colleagues have any questions regarding the recommendation of this resolution to amend the City of Xenia's benefits manual. And I would like to point out that this recommendation is by the Administrative Steering Committee. I'm not seeing any comments or questions, so we'll go ahead and go to a roll call, please.
Vice President Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Urschel?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Smith?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, item H is public hearing. We have several emails tonight. I'll go over here the process here in just a second. This public hearing is on resolution 2021-letter P, which is a second reading. This is approving the application submitted by the city manager for the establishment of a designated outdoor refreshment area in the city's historic downtown district. So just to be correct, proper procedure, we don't have a lot of public hearings. Do we need to, it was introduced at our last meeting. do we need to do that introduction, first reading, first motion and second, and then open the public hearing, or do we open the public hearing first? Madam Law Director, can you give me some guidance on that?
Yes, I would recommend that you go ahead and do the motion and second, and then open the public hearing.
Sorry, we don't have any audio right now, Madam Law Director.
How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you. So, can you tell me
I
the
would
topic
suggest
this is?
doing what you said, Mr. President. Go ahead and take a motion and a second, and then open the public hearing.
All right, thank you very much. So this was originally introduced at our last council meeting by Councilwoman Dean.
I would like to move for passage.
Thank you. Move for passage by Councilwoman Dean. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Seconded by Councilman Branham. Thank you. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. And how this works is we will invite anyone who would like to speak in favor of approving the application. So that's what we're voting on tonight, is approving the application submitted by the city manager for the establishment of the DORA. So if anyone in our audience would care to come forward, give us your name, address for the record, and due to the length, I am going to ask to keep the comments to 2 minutes or less, okay? Thank you.
Can I move this box? Sure. Okay, thanks. Hello, my name is Doug Lane. I am an owner of Devil Brewing at 130 South Detroit Street. I am in favor of the designated outdoor refreshment area for many reasons. First, I want to address the main concern, which is with alcohol out in public. And people seem to be very concerned with a lot of public drunkenness or disorderly conduct. The main point I want to bring up is the heavy police presence that is already in Xenia between local police, the sheriff's office, and highway patrol. I believe that having that much police presence within the designated outdoor refreshment area will really help stem the any issues and any kind of disorderly conduct by the people participating in the DORA area. A lot of the areas that have started implicating these kind of areas, they have seen a lot of increase in people coming into their towns, which has actually decreased the amount of issues because more people that are out walking around the towns and walking around the cities actually kind of discourages the people that would have caused the issues to begin with. Having more people out visiting businesses and walking around is going to be a much better influence on the town than the people that would be out causing issues anyway. The ones that are going to cause the issues are already out in public doing that. And with the heavy police presence already in town, I feel like that there really isn't going to be too many issues with any kind of drunken, disorderly conduct. A lot of communities that have started implementing this are places like Middletown, Chillicothe, Wilmington, and a lot of these places have had a very negative reputation in our state. And unfortunately, a lot of people outside of Xenia look at Xenia in a similar light. And by implementing these areas, they've actually have started letting their downtowns thrive, and businesses have been coming in, more businesses have been coming in and setting up shop, and have been staying there and have been very successful since DORA has been implemented in their communities. And it's helped bring in a lot more people from outside the community in to spend more time and continue to keep coming in and spend their time and spend their money within the community. And I feel like that Xenia is the same exact way. There's a lot of potential within our community to continue to grow, to continue to expand what we're known for, and get rid of the bad reputation that Xenia has just built up over the past few years. More people walking around town is only going to make things better for everybody. And especially with the new development, going into Xenia Town Square, there's a lot of huge developers that are looking at that. I think that by having this option available, that's going to show them that, that the city is all about trying to keep boosting itself up, keep propping itself up from this bad reputation and from this history that people seem to,
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. We're at 3 minutes, a little over 3 minutes, so I let you go an extra minute. Go ahead, I'll let you summarize here, and if you could just give us a summary, and we're going to
Sure.
go ahead and let somebody
Sure.
else speak, okay?
Yeah, by having Dora, a lot more events are going to be able to be held downtown, which is going to draw a lot more people inside the town to be able to see what good there is that's already happening here. And there's so much more potential for more good and even greatness beyond what we're doing now. It's going to help bring a lot more people in, change their opinion on Xenia, and keep them coming back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, pleasure. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Anyone else like to speak in favor of approving the application? The podium is open. Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Okay, so in speaking in favor of this, our city clerk has put quite a spreadsheet together. Spent a lot of time. We got a minimum of 85 emails over the last week. I counted, sorry, during your speech there, but we have 44 in favor of Dora, 41 not in favor. I know we're speaking in favor right now. So these emails, these addresses, these citizens, all this is public record. All this is available and will be available in the minutes. So for the sake of time, I am not going to read all these emails. It's just simply not feasible tonight. So, but I would like to say 44 for the Dora. And if no one else would like to speak in favor of the Dora, I would like to move to anyone that would like to speak against the Dora application to please come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record. Limit your comments to 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. If you could give us your name and address for the record.
Take my mask off to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you.
My name is Denise Davis, and I live at 976 Orville Way in Xenia. And first of all, Mayor Mays, Councilman, City Manager, and Ryan Duke, Finance Director, thank you for allowing me just the opportunity to speak to you. I do want to say that I've heard a lot of, for and against and how wonderful it's going to be. The one thing that I haven't seen is real hard data and statistics of how all of these other communities are thriving so much. So I think that's a missing piece. Now, I did send an email, which is in your notes, but for those in the room who haven't read my email, I'd actually like to read it. So I'm standing here today to respectfully ask you not to vote in favor of accepting the proposed Dora district in downtown Xenia. As a native of Xenia and current resident, local and national business, for-profit business owner, and board president of a local nonprofit cafe, I'm adamantly opposed to the idea of the city of Xenia endorsing and supporting a Dora district. I am not against alcohol or responsible drinking for those of legal age. However, using alcohol as a means to lure foot traffic to our downtown shops and bait to attract business owners to set up shop in Xenia just seems preposterous to me, and quite frankly, it's concerning about what we may be fishing for and our measurements of success. Some of the reasons that I'm opposed to Dora for Xenia are the following. The area is too large, and it doesn't make sense, especially with little existing shopping restaurants. Our downtown area is nothing like Lebanon and the Oregon District, where the bars and the restaurants and the small shops are all in one compact area. Even if we filled up all the shops, we wouldn't look like that. 2 of the 5 establishments mentioned in the Dora proposed area already have outdoor dining area where folks can sit and enjoy an alcoholic beverage outside. Devil Wind and the Buccaneer, they have large outdoor areas. I don't think this is going to encourage a lot of drunks stumbling around on our streets, but I am very concerned about Dora cups being passed off to underage individuals and folks taking advantage of those younger citizens of Xenia. We're also a city known for its immense efforts in caring for our homeless, the elderly, the addicted, the poor, the food insecure, and those in recovery through a large number of nonprofits. For the city of Xenia to endorse and support Dora seems counterproductive to the good works that so many have done and continue to do.
So Diane, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're about 3.5 minutes, so
Then
if you
I'll
could
read
just summarize.
much quicker.
Okay, if you could
All right.
summarize, please.
Xenia also has a large community of adults and young adults with disabilities and mental illness, and this is a very vulnerable group of citizens that I think are being left out. I question how Dora would even impact or benefit them. Xenia, especially our downtown area, already has a trash problem, and Dora would only compound that problem. Being in plastic cups, that's not even good for our environment. Folks that want something like Dora for a few celebratory events per year can purchase a permit through the city. And when I think about all the things, all the wonderful things that the city of Xenia has done, currently does, and plans to do, Dora is not one of them. Paying for a Dora plan, which includes public safety officer to monitor the plan, the cost of communicating and educating businesses and the public, a sanitation plan person, production and expense of signage, and business stickers, plastic Dora cups, and it goes on. It just doesn't add up, and I really urge you and encourage you not to vote for this. I do applaud everybody who's interested in revitalizing our downtown. I want to revitalize our downtown, and I'm all for that. But when I look at the crafty presentation, the clever wording, the shiny flyers, with that seemingly innocent picture of a young couple strolling down the street with a cold beverage, alcoholic beverage in their hand, it just seems like rhetoric to me under the auspices of being a boon to our downtown economic development. I sincerely and most respectfully urge you to think again and vote no for the proposed Dora for Xenia. Thank you for
Thank you, Diane.
allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I would also invite anyone else who would like to come at this time and speak against the application for Dora. Now is your opportunity. Anyone that would like to come to the podium, speak against the application. I'm not seeing anyone. At this time, I would invite anyone who, so going back to against, so I did speak about 41 emails opposed to Dora. Just put that in record. So neither speaking for or against, I would like to invite anyone who would like to come to the podium, neither speak for or against, if they would just like to voice their opinion regarding the Dora application. Now's your opportunity to do that. And while we're waiting, I will comment that we have 2 emails where one was former Mayor John Saraga, did not voice an opinion either for or against, but he did present several questions which were answered by City Manager. I thank you for including me in that email. Also, William Shakal, pastor of First Evangelical Lutheran Church, voiced concerns, presented some questions, and encouraged some cooperation, neither speaking for or against the application. So, do we have anyone else that wants to come forward? Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Christy Kettering, and Ken and I live in Jamestown.
Okay, sure.
Okay, but I
We'll
was
just need you to
raised in
speak
Xenia.
up just a little louder.
I was
and-
raised in Xenia.
Sure. Can you give the city clerk your address, please?
Address, 1764 Irvin Road. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a couple of comments. One, I just heard, sorry, I've been very focused on some major projects at work, and I just heard about this Dora thing today. So that's why I'm here. And so you would have had 42 emails against if I'd have had time to get my email in, sorry. The question, and I'm just, as I was pondering today, I was just thinking, here's the question. in my mind. Who stands to benefit and who could be harmed? You know? And I just think that's what I wish you all would consider. Just, you know, who do we know that will definitely benefit and in what way? And who could be harmed and in what ways? Thank you for
Thank you very
allowing me
much.
to speak.
All right, I'd like to offer the opportunity one last time, if anyone would like to come to the podium. Okay, seeing no one else, this time I am going to close the public hearing. And I do have a report from our city manager. You have
Yeah, just
some
a couple
information.
thoughts. First, this application by statute has a pretty specific, sorry, Thomas, this process has a pretty specific timeline as established by statute. I know one of the things that has been raised by members of the council is concerned that given the information and feedback coming from the public, that the council may not have had sufficient time to really take that into consideration. But again, keeping in mind that based on the statutory timeline, the public hearing is tonight followed by a vote simply because of that how the statute reads. Our role as staff is to present council with policy options for you to make decisions on, either approving or disapproving and establishing policy. So I want to make the statement that this is council's decision. Staff has put time into this because we have staff members that believe this presents an opportunity as a tool. It's not the tool that fixes the problems of our downtown, but a tool that can be helpful. That being said, you also shouldn't feel rushed in a decision on this matter that you obviously view has significant consequence, simply because we've established an arbitrary timeline of when we'd like to see this implemented. So the other point to draw on this evening is there's no obligation for you to have to decide on this tonight. If council wishes to table this issue and have more deliberation about this, there are means that we can pursue that. Nothing prohibits the staff from reintroducing this type of an item in the future for reconsideration. So that, there are avenues available to you that if you feel now's not the right time to commit to this up or down, you do have avenues available to you to, that you can exercise to hold off for the time being.
Thank you very much.
Let me just add to that, because there is a statutory timeline with the application, that failure to act tonight would essentially kill the application at this point, but there could be reintroduction of the application at some point in the future after you've had some additional time to consider this. So, just food for thought.
All right, thank you. So, normally, yes, go ahead.
If I may, to piggyback off what the city manager said, he's absolutely right. The statute provides that if council would disapprove the application that's submitted, he as executive officer can make changes and resubmit it. So a denial tonight does not mean it can't be resubmitted. One thing too, though, I would like council to bear in mind, I know this is new for you, the DORA, the way the state statute is set up, this is not a decision that's made by the Division of Liquor Control.
Right.
This is a completely local decision. Mm-hmm. So if council were to approve the DORA and there were any problems, you can repeal the resolution approving the DORA at any time. If there are problems you think with the size of the DORA, council would have the ability to shrink it. One requirement is there has to be at least 4 liquor permit holders within the DORA. That would be the only limitation as far as size. But just to remind you that this isn't, if council would approve this tonight, it's not something that's set in stone. You would have a right to appeal it later. Also, if you don't want to make a decision this evening, my suggestion would be to go ahead and disapprove it. The statute specifically allows for the application to be resubmitted upon disapproval. But this isn't something that's controlled by the Division of Liquor Control. This is completely a council decision. So if you would decide to approve it and there are any issues, it's something you can repeal or you can modify the DORA to address those issues.
All right, thank you. So what I would like to do at this time is, because this is a public hearing tonight, and normally we allow council to comment during the public hearing, so I would allow our colleagues to express their concerns or recommendations. Keep in mind, I know we have a motion and a second on the floor, so we can always come back to that. But the mayor has brought up a good point. Some of these emails, literally, we just got this afternoon. She just wants a few more minutes to kind of go through those. I don't know if we necessarily need a recess, but
I just want like 2 or 3
we
minutes.
just need
There's a couple
more
on here, I
minutes.
thought I had seen every one of them, but I'm seeing that there's at least 2 or 3 that I did not see, so I just want a minute, if that's okay with everyone.
So what I'd like to do is invite any of my colleagues, if you have any questions right now regarding the DORA, I do have a few. I think now would be an appropriate time to ask staff some questions. One question that I have is, right now during the pandemic, I cannot take my coffee cup to Speedway and fill it. I have to buy a brand new cup each time. Refills are not allowed. How is the DORA process with the plastic cups exempt from that during pandemic? Because I think that's a health department issue, and has that been asked to the health department? So,
A new cup is provided each time, from what I read.
With each individual purchase, you have to purchase a
that's a
cup.
refillable cup.
No, it's not
You
reusable.
buy that cup and you take it to each establishment.
No,
That's
you have to,
that's
you
not
have
correct.
to buy a different cup. Each time you're purchasing a beverage, you purchase, a part of that purchase is the cup.
Okay, so it's a disposable cup then?
Right.
But it's plastic?
Of some kind, yeah.
The ones we were looking at are similar to the soda cups.
Okay.
They're very-
So you're not going to refill a cup? Okay,
pay for
okay.
it.
Well, that was a question that I had. Okay. And then another question that someone did bring up is, what businesses do we have on a Friday or Saturday night open past 5 or 6 o'clock that are going to benefit from the DORA other than the liquor establishments?
I'll jump on that just to say, I think you, again, I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
This to me is not a make or break issue.
Right. I
But
understand.
as devil's advocate, I think I would shift that question and say, perhaps the reason they're not open now is because there's no audience, there's no marketplace.
Sure.
So by extending the opportunity, then you have a reason to be open if there's a marketplace present. But I would agree, right now, it's limited, right? You don't see a lot of
The only one right
people
now is
walking
Vintage
downtown.
Toy Store, is my understanding. And I
Probably,
did
right.
talk to them. I reached out to them personally and I asked their opinion. You know, they are setting it for the toy show this weekend. So Rob and Danielle did not have a lot of time to submit an email, but I did ask them if they wanted me, and I, as I have with every person, I did not give my opinion or thoughts. I just said, what do you guys think? What do you want to do? What is your opinion? They're not huge fans of it. They said if it passes, it's fine. It's not going to be a big deal, but they would not personally support it. So, and I do have their permission to put that on the record.
All right, thank you. So I would like to invite any of our colleagues up here tonight. If you have any questions or concerns, please speak out now, and I'll start right down here. Do you have any concerns or questions?
You know, I could see where everybody has their concerns, and I'm definitely going to be voting yes for this because I think it's going to be good for the downtown. I think it's going to go hand in hand with redeveloping the Xenia Town Square. However, if there are issues with it, I don't have a problem supporting a repeal. So, like, I get it. I get why people are iffy, but I do think we got to do something different with the downtown area, and we've been doing what seems like same old for a while, so.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, Councilman Scrivens, do you have anything tonight?
Thank you, Mr. President. I had more phone calls and more emails than in the last week than I had probably in a year. And I'm sorry that I didn't answer everyone's email, but the ones that I did, I read everything, and then I had a number of phone calls. And I vacillated back and forth, yes or no. Is it good for the goose? Is it good for the gander? Is it the shot in the arm that Xenia needs at this point? And I'm still undecided. So at this point, before the vote, I'm still undecided.
All right, thank you very much. I'll move down to Councilman Brandon, what would you like to add tonight?
I find it very difficult that hot button issues that we have like this, typically our city staff comes to us and says, hey, how do you feel about this beforehand? Do you see that this is something that you could potentially support? They did that on this issue, and council guidance minus Mr. Urschel, we had a pretty good consensus that says, yes.
I said no.
And Mayor Mace had pretty good consensus beforehand that we would pursue that path, let's go down it. I do feel at this time, everybody did vote for the application, except for Mayor Mace. I just feel like we're just continuing to kick the can. I support this. I think at the end of the day, 1974 was when the tornado came through and it took a toll on our community. We've been in that same little sluggish mode for a while. It's starting to look better out west, but our downtown is lacking. I feel at the end of the day, it's each business owner's decision to put the I accept DORA or I do not accept DORA on their business. So therefore, if they don't accept it, somebody can't walk in there. I will say at the end of the day, you can't really stop somebody. You can't stop somebody from doing it now, technically. I hate to say it, I'm not saying this is water, but nobody knows what's in this cup, and the same thing can happen with a resident. We were all kids once. There was always instances where people, finagle the rules. It could happen during the fireworks show. It can happen anytime. But at the end of the day, this makes this a little bit more, somebody's paying that extra money for that cup to be responsible enough to walk from one business to the next and support locals and support these businesses that struggled for the past year from the pandemic. At the end of the day, Amazon didn't struggle, Walmart didn't struggle. It was these hometown mom and pop shops. Devil and Brewery, I walked in there one day, not to drink beer, but just to show my support to the community. Nobody was in there. Saddest thing in the world, because I'm sitting there thinking this was a thriving place before the pandemic. I feel it's worth a shot. At the end of the day, 6 months from now, we can try it out. If it doesn't work out, we can rescind it. If it causes an uptick in crime, which we're already dealing with slightly, but at the end of the day, we can rescind it and go back to normal. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you very much. Councilman Urschel.
Yeah, so, no, I wasn't here with you folks in the fall when there was discussions on this, but I think something that has changed dramatically since this was first brought in was the downtown revitalization and the Xenia Town Square and the purchase of the town square area by the city. And so these two things were operating in parallel. At this point, the city is actually, in terms of if you look at the acreage that's there and you take out the public access area, the city is actually the predominant owner of the land area there, and would have we're in an odd situation where the city is the one that actually is the largest participant from the area and potentially from those that have leases to the city as well over that time frame. As we've acquired that land, we've also said that as we look at that redevelopment of that we desperately want public input. We talked about that publicly. We put that out in the communique as we sent that out to everyone. And when we had the developer in, we talked about the fact that here this spring and summer we're going to have extensive discussions with the community to get broader community input on that, because there was a sense that however we're developing the Xenia Town Square area is going to be a major player for the downtown area, and we desperately want to have community input on that. My sense is having a DORA carry within the downtown is going to change the flavor of the downtown. But if that's where our residents want us to go within the city, so be it within that context. But I also believe that we need to let our populace have an input and say to this. I spent a lot of time the last 2 Saturdays at the bike hub, at the dog park, at the coffee shop, at Walmart and some other places, and just kind of pose some questions to our residents. Hey, what do you think about DORA? And almost to a person, most of them didn't even know what I was talking about. And was, first off, they weren't aware that we were considering this as a council, and second, they didn't know that they even had an opportunity for public input. We've gotten 100 emails here, but we're in a population of 28,000 folks. So I think, I just want to say, I think our city staff did a great job putting the package together and researching, see what's happening in other locations and providing that information. They did a great job of communicating with the downtown businesses and polling each one of those, and that's why I think we've gotten a lot of feedback on this from the downtown businesses. But I think the next step for us is to go ahead and have that discussion with the broader public in our city. And I also believe that it's what's going to happen in that downtown Xenia Town Square and the revitalization there is going to set the tone for how the city's going to be functioning here in the downtown area. And we should have public input on that. We have a number of forums set up for that. They're going to give us a very broad input at this point. And I believe that personally that we ought to be tabling this motion until we've had that input from the public. And so I guess I have one question to the Madam Law Director. Now that we've acquired our new rules of council at this point, one question for her is, we have a motion and a second on the table. Can I make at this time a motion to table for the motion that's on the table, or how does that function?
Well, again, I would not recommend tabling. The language in the statute very specifically states that the legislative authority shall approve or disapprove. That's right out of 430182. So if this is something that council wants to wait and get public input on, my advice would be to vote it down tonight. The statute also specifically provides that if the application is disapproved, the executive officer of the city, which would be the city manager, may resubmit the application at any time, at any point, with changes, without, and seek council approval again.
Okay. I hear what you're saying, so let me ask my question again. Can we understand that's the recommendation on your part, but can just in general, when we have a motion and a second, can someone on the council make a motion to table, and would that be voted on prior to moving on the original motion? I'm trying to understand the rules of council that we just approved at our last meeting.
Yes, if you look at your rules, the motion to table is a subsidiary motion. It can be made at any time.
Okay. So my other concern is that as I've looked at the other DORA districts and that are in place, especially for other municipalities that are around our size, in the 20 to 30,000 person region, a number of those areas have much smaller districts than are being proposed here, and a much denser array of breweries or restaurants or those types of things that are already in place, and that this would seem to augment that very well within the context of what that city's moving towards, okay? Xenia's not there right now. We don't have a high density of this in our downtown area right now, and I think it would behoove us to talk to our public, is this the direction we want to be going? And if it is, the linchpin to that is going to be the Xenia Town Square. It just is. And, we're hoping to move out on that the next year, but, engage with the designer with that. And if this is something that the public wants to see in the downtown Xenia area, I think we ought to pursue that through those discussions this spring and summer, put that out to the populace, make sure that we actually have a broader input of discussion on that. I'm glad that the downtown merchants, and that we've talked to them about this, and that they seem to be very aware of this and so they get to voice things. But this is the city needs to set the direction and the tone in our public, and then we set the boundaries of that, and then businesses operate within the context of that. And I'm a little bit concerned we're going the opposite direction. We're asking the input of the businesses, and then we're asking the public to operate within the context of where the businesses would like to go. So since we already have established a schedule of broader public inputs on the Xenia Town Square, and since the Xenia Town Square is going to be the predominant acreage of what has been currently proposed, or may be proposed in the future, I would like to make to our council chairman, I would like to make a motion that we table this pending the further discussion of the Xenia Town Square and modifications or approval or disapproval within the context of what we're going to be moving within the Xenia Town Square.
Thank you. I have a motion to table the application.
Right, that's correct.
At this time by Councilman Urschel. All right. Still have 3 council members to speak. Mayor.
We're gonna need a second, or we're going to?
We can get the second anytime.
It's up to you.
Anyone like to make that second?
Mr. President, could I just, in transparency, offer that if the council elects to move forward with a vote tonight and it's voted down, I would have no intentions of bringing this item back to the council this year. I think you will have made a policy decision, and I don't know what's going to happen in the space of time this year that would be cause for us to bring it back this year. So for the foreseeable future, we probably would not bring it back.
Thank you very much.
If we table it,
If it's voted down this evening.
I understand, and if it's tabled?
If it's tabled, it would, because of the statutory timeline, it effectively would kill it.
I
But
understand.
to me, the council hasn't really made a policy decision by tabling it. It does fall in line a little more with what Councilman Urschel said in terms of the opportunity to provide, to solicit a little more feedback through the town square discussion. That's a legitimate, I think it's a legitimate idea.
Then I will second it.
All right, seconded by the mayor. Would you like to speak before
I
we
can.
make a vote?
It's up to you.
Sure, I think we should.
This is the kind of thing that's kept me up at night. I've said this to several people. In my 6 or 7 years of being on council, you could combine all of the emails that I've received over issues, and it still would not be anywhere close to the amount of emails we've received over this. I've never seen outpouring like this, even about our city streets. You know, we've had a lot of complaints about city streets. I've never had emails like this. And it's very interesting to me how it has literally been split down the middle. And I would venture to say, I think most of you would agree with me, it's been our businesses that are for it and our citizens that have spoken up and said no. I mean, that seems to be, as I've read through the emails, there was 3 or 4 I hadn't seen tonight that I think I've read through the ones that were sent to me. I've responded to all of them. It's just an interesting split, and that makes it very difficult because I am a huge proponent of our local businesses. I live in town. My family and I walk around town all the time. I mean, we spend our time here. We spend our time in the downtown shops. I am friends. I'm on a first name basis with almost every shop in town because I genuinely want to support them. So it's hard. I spent an extended time talking to our past mayor, Mayor Saraga, and hearing his thoughts, and he's very divided as well. He understands the division of the community. I spent a lot of time talking with Paul Keller, Mayor of Fairborn, and just kind of bouncing off different ideas and the differences of Fairborn. I mean, we're very similar in our cities, but their district is very different than what's being proposed here. You know, and I've made no secret from day one, even in the work session, that I didn't really want to pursue this. Not because I am against drinking. I'm very open about that. I mean, I drink at Devil Wins, and I'm not. This is not about an alcohol issue as much as it is. I don't want to see measures of success based on alcohol, and I'm not excited about the city endorsement part of it. That concerns me. I think that we, as citizens, are the ones who build the business and make it the point that we, as Cody said, that we are in the shops, that we are going in, and that we are encouraging every single person. I mean, every single person I talk to, recommending, oh, you could go here for this, you could go through. There was a day I needed a gift. I called Danielle over at Route 68. It's not a toy. I don't need a toy. What other shop can I go to? And she said, have you tried Carson's? Great idea. And I want to support the downtown very much, but I also am very aware of the citizens' concerns. So I'm not comfortable with the boundaries of it. I also, the similar point of, I do want to hear what people have to say regarding Xenia Town Square. I think that we need that input in that direction before we make this decision. So I'm very open to coming back to this and very open to exploring it again once we have a set direction of Xenia Town Square. I also think the staff, Ryan, I know you've done a ton of work on this, and I am very thankful for that because it shows me that you take your job seriously. You are out there trying to figure out ways to better our downtown, and I deeply respect that, and I hope that you know that. We have had many discussions offline, going back and forth, in disagreement and trying to push each other and challenge each other, and I love that. I've said on record, when the Dayton Daily called, I'm very comfortable when we can respectfully disagree. At the end of the day, whatever happens, whether it passes or doesn't pass, I'll get on board. If this passes tonight, I'm on board, and you will not hear me say otherwise. So I think this is great and healthy discussion, and that's where I'm at. But I am interested in tabling, that's why I second it.
Thank you very much. I'll open.
Mr. President, just one thing I'd like to add before you vote. If you do vote to table this matter this evening,
Then it is effectively killed. You won't have approved it within the 30 to 60 days required. However, that also means that resolution 2021P is going to be hanging out there forever, because you can't ever take it up off the table because you can't vote on it. So just bear that in mind when you make your decision.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to give an opportunity for Vice President Dean to give us his comments, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Just a kind of response to that, and I appreciate the feedback. I think a lot's been said about the community input and lack of it, but personally, like you said, 85 emails, that's more than our combined emails that I've been on council. And I know you said you've gone downtown or this place or that place and talked to people. They don't know that it's going on, but I think that that's part of a larger overall trend that people are just apathetic in regards to government or what's going on in their city. This has been a tremendous outpouring of both for and against. We've never taken any more extra time for any other public hearing. I understand that this is obviously a big deal, but I would say with 85 emails, I think we've got more than enough public input at this point, personally. As far as some of the concerns about it causing litter issues or crime or public drunkenness, I don't think that this door is really ever going to evolve into like a Mardi Gras party. I think the only time you're ever really going to see this happen is, or even notice that there's even a door besides a few signs, is when there's a few events, maybe concerts, maybe a street fair. It's not going to be an everyday thing, and there are time limits that we can also impose on that as well. I don't see it really affecting the everyday life in Xenia, even if you're down there with your children, quite frankly. I know we've talked to other cities, and I know they're all different with theirs. As far as I know, none of them had any negative impacts as far as crime or public drunkenness. There's probably a little bit extra of trash cleanup, but honestly, we could probably be better in that area anyways. So I don't think the door is going to be necessarily a make or break thing on that. I'm supportive of it. I think it comes down really just to personal responsibility, and the people who are going to go through this process of going into establishment, buying the designated cup, and then following all the rules and boundaries set forth in this application are not going to be the ones causing issues with this. If anything, it would be taken advantage of by people coming there, probably already drunk from previous drinking. They're not going to, if they're there to cause issues, they're not going to go by all the rules just so they can break another rule. That doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. So for me, I'm in favor of voting on it tonight and voting for it. So.
All right, thank you very much. So I have a couple comments. I do have another question for city staff. According to this application, the hours of the DORA will be Monday through Thursday from noon to 10, and then Friday and Saturday, 4 to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, noon to 10 Friday and Saturday. So each day, does the cup change? Because I think what we're worried about, or the comments, is the policing of the ability for people to sneak in their own drink in a cup. Would you say that is a concern with some people? How do we enforce the fact that
I'm not concerned about
if there's people walking downtown, okay, because I'll be honest with you, I love Xenia, there's nothing to do downtown after 6 o'clock, okay? So what are they going to do? They're going to meander down the street from one bar to another with their cup. So how do we understand that cup, they didn't fill it in their car and then pull it out and say, well, yeah, I got my drink here. And I think that's the concern that we have as council members. I can't control public behavior, and I don't think law enforcement has enough time in our city to take this issue on. So that's why I'm not for it, and I don't want to be a naysayer, okay? And yeah, I was originally interested in this when we talked about it last year, but that was way before Xenia Town Square issue was presented to council. And now that whole entire area represents the major portion of our DORA. And if this was the Oregon district and we had one street, that would be one thing, but this is literally our entire Xenia business district, and except for Midtown. So I kind of think we're opening up a possibility of a problem that we can't control. And yeah, if someone wants to go to Double One and have a drink, that's great. I love our businesses. Do that, okay? They have that opportunity now. We're not taking that away from them by not presenting the DORA. I just think right now, this isn't the right time. I think we need more time. We need more public input on Xenia Town Square. So I'm in support of waiting and tabling this issue. So I know we have a motion, and I know we have a second to table this. The only other comment that I want to make is I have already been told by many people, we have so much signage in Xenia with wayfinding signage and directions to the library, directions here, directions to Central State. And we're going to put up 45 more additional signs. I think it's going to look rough. I just think it's going to look really busy. That's just my opinion. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from staff, but I just think we don't need any more signs. So at this point, we have a motion to table.
Can I ask
So, yeah.
Just a quick question for the city clerk. I assume that all the emails will be put into the record?
Yes.
Do you want them word for word or summarized?
I just want to make sure that we're honoring what we said. So as I told people, that they didn't have to be here because it was one of those where we still said.
The tables.
Okay.
For the against and the different.
Okay.
But if you want me to put a description as far as summarizing their statements, I can do that too.
I just want to make sure it's reflected in some way, because we did tell people that it would be put into the record for or against every single person.
Yes.
So, okay, I just want to make sure that we do note that into the record.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize. I misspoke. 19 signs, not 45. So that's a lot better. But, Madam Law Director, unless I'm wrong.
I would like to just say we're elected officials, we're here to make a decision. I'm not in favor of table at all. Like, if it gets voted down, it gets voted down, that's fine.
Right,
We disagree.
right. Well,
But
okay.
let's just vote on it and, be done with it.
Okay, well, we have to vote.
Because like Levi said, this is the most feedback we've ever had, so.
Right. So it's a passionate issue.
My
we spend a
only
lot of-
reason for that is just because of the Xenia Town Square. I would like to get public input, because we've already told people we want their input.
Yeah.
That's why I feel that.
No, I agree, but.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I would like to suggest that we suspend the discussion and vote on the motion to table.
Okay. So we're not having any more comments?
So we just suggested it.
He just made a
I just
suggestion.
suggested.
Yeah. Can I make one more comment?
go ahead. Why
Okay,
not?
sorry, I just want to say, like, if we're going to continue to kick the can a little further and wait for community impact, don't we think right now, where the designated area is, there's no businesses that's sitting in the larger part. So if development happens, more businesses come that serve alcohol and it starts getting bigger, the area starts growing, which it's already there, but there's literally no establishments in that area. There's no establishments in Kmart currently. You know, the Family Dollar's there, all that. The businesses that are here are the ones that's gonna be serving alcohol. If say, I'm just throwing out a random restaurant, say Buffalo Wild Wings pops up in the Kmart parking lot. Not saying that's factual, but that's another person that can add to that aspect. You know, like, we're planning on growing that area. Wouldn't it be better off to just do it with the 5 businesses that we have currently versus adding more potential, quote-unquote, alcohol providers down the road? That's my only thing. Like, we currently have, you know, our Devil Win, our Acapulco, our Buccaneer, our,
The hotel.
the motel, and then the Elks, right? Elks.
I see.
You know, that's it. But say, for instance, they start developing and there's way more people, even if it's just a nonchalant place like Rapid Fire, you know, they serve alcohol, or Chipotle, they serve, you know, that sort of thing. At the end of the day, we got to sit there and take that into consideration. We've got 5 right now. Who knows when that development happens, there could be way more that pop up into that area.
I think there could be a lot more pop-up, but part of why we're not looking for that Xenia Town Square to just be random pop-ups, right? I mean, I think what we talked about with the developer, and we said is we want to have this to have some very specific strategy and types of businesses and flavors of businesses, and we said we wanted to have public input on that to help us dream and envision what we want to do with that. And part of the discussion needs to be, do we want to have open carry in that area or not, as well too, and the flavor of businesses were coming. And I think we need to bring that to the public and ask them. Now, the public may come back and say, absolutely, that's exactly what we want to see, and that's great, and that will go into the master plan of that. And my understanding of the whole Xenia Town Square is we are going to have a very definitive strategy and not just random businesses popping up and random things happening with that. Unless I missed the whole discussion and the time we had with the developer and the things why we're going back to the public with the input. But this is our one opportunity here to set the flavor and tone, and this will set the flavor and tone for the whole downtown area, okay? And we said we wanted to go about that in a structured way. And for us to start those discussions with the community, say, but we've already made a decision about one thing, though. We've already decided that this is going to be a DORA district, and now we want your input on everything else. We don't really want your input on that because we've already made that decision. I think that's disingenuous with the public to go into that, because I think we ought to say, at least as I've understood to this point, this is wide open for our public comment. I don't think waiting for that time. And once again, I think what you're going to find is, as we put that out there, because we're going to make a very listen, we sent out the Xenia communique, okay, to everybody in Xenia. The reason I know about that is people found out I was on council through the communique. They didn't find out through the Xenia Daily Gazette or other things, okay? We talked an awful lot about the Xenia Town Square in that communique. We didn't say one word about DORA to anybody, okay? So people know that we're going to be having public input. We're going to be seeking that and pursuing that. Let's have this discussion in that context. And once again, this is a city of 28,000 people. I get not all 28,000 are going to participate, but we're desperately looking for a lot more folks than 100 folks to have an input for this downtown area, because this is the make or break for our city for the next couple of generations, right?
Thank you.
So.
Yeah.
Mr. President, can I just offer one clarification real quick?
Sure.
I'll keep it brief. There have been several comments, both in terms of public comments as well as council, and I know you're aware of this, but for the benefit of the public, the district, or the area determined for the DORA is not arbitrary. It's based on statutory requirements in terms of it has to be contiguous, there's limitations on the size, there has to be a set number of licensed establishments within that. So I understand the wonkiness of the district, but that is intended to be compliant with the statutory provisions. So again, I think it's an important point to clarify. It wasn't arbitrary, capricious. It's just because of the nature of the requirements.
Because you had to have 5 minimum.
Right.
So we had to
Just
reach.
4.
4 minimum.
4 is the minimum, and we have 5.
Right.
Okay. So if your guys are okay with it, we have a call for a question here.
Really, really quick.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I do believe back when we were talking about acquiring Xenia Town Square, we also brought this up in conjunction with that conversation. I don't know if that's true or not. I think we could have Michelle if we could check on that. But I do believe that when that was talked about, both of these were mentioned, and from that standpoint, we talked about that as well, so.
Thank you very much. So at this time, we have a motion and a second. I'm going to call the question, keeping in mind that a yes vote will be to table this application. So a yes vote is actually against the application, while a no vote would be for the process. And then we'll come back to that first and second. Am I correct?
More or less, yeah.
You vote, you
First
vote
thing
on
you
that
vote on.
subsidiary motion first, so the first vote would
Be on the motion to table. A yes vote tables it, a no vote is against tabling it. If the motion to table passes, then there is no further voting. If the motion to table fails, then you would vote on the principal motion.
All right, thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Vice President Dean.
Aye. No.
Nay.
Councilman Scrivens.
No.
Councilwoman Dean.
Nay.
Councilman Branham.
Nay.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
The motion failed.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second on Resolution 2021-P, the application submitted by City Manager. Motion by Councilwoman Dean, seconded by Councilman Branham. This would be a yes vote, would approve the application. A no vote would not approve the application. Any comments? Roll call.
Vice President Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
No.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Nay.
Mayor Mays.
No.
President Smith.
No.
The motion failed.
Thank you. Next on new business, ordinance 2021-04, titled an emergency. This is amending ordinance 2021-02 to provide appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the city of Xenia for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. Requesting additional appropriations for two purposes this evening. The first is, as Council may recall, we were requesting the ability to transfer some funds that were in our 471, our bond retirement fund, that were available after we had paid off that debt. And we were requesting an ability to transfer those into the general fund. The Court of Common Pleas did quickly respond and approve our request, and so we are permitted then to transfer those dollars into the general fund. We're requesting a transfer be appropriated in the 471 fund to the general fund in a total $119,038. The second request is related to some damage to roadways that was caused by water main breaks, and these were roads that had been recently paved, that were in good condition, and were needed to, there was a necessity to dig them up as there was a main break, and so we are actually requesting the use of water funds to repair those streets, being that it was the water system that caused those damages, and so we're requesting an appropriation for that purpose, totaling $58,600. Those are the two requests we're making tonight as an emergency.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to appropriate the current expenses from water funds to cover these budgetary items?
Moved as an emergency.
Moves as an emergency by the mayor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Dean. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Vice President Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
The motion carried.
Thank you very much. Our next item, Resolution 2021-R, also titled an emergency. This is authorizing a then and now payment of $4,492 to Care News Americas for the supplying of lime to the Ford Road wastewater treatment plant and declaring an emergency. Mr. Merriman, could you please explain this?
Yes, thank you, sir. This resolution is essentially a housekeeping item that is required due to the fact that there's a timing issue with respect to this invoice. We received the invoice after we had closed out the blanket purchase order for this. They just submitted it late at the end of the year. A payment of an invoice in this amount with this timing issue requires acknowledgement by council, so we are simply requesting this evening that council approve this resolution to authorize the then and now in the amount stipulated. And we're requesting this be done as an emergency so we can close this out and clear the books for this as soon as possible.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have a motion for the then and now payment?
So moved.
Thank you. Moved as an emergency by Councilman Branham. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Urschel. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Could I get a roll call, please?
Vice President Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item, Resolution 2021-S, titled Emergency, adopting a statement of the municipal services to be provided to a property at 800 Hedges Road, which is proposed for annexation from Xenia Township to the city of Xenia, declaring an emergency. Mr. Merriman.
Thank you, sir. The city has received notice that the annexation petition was filed with the Greene County Board of Commissioners for 800 Hedges Road, as indicated pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 709.023C. Within 20 days of the filing of the petition, the council must adopt a statement of services, which the city would provide to the property if the county approves the annexation and the city subsequently accepts that annexation. The statement of services resolution is required by statute, and it outlines both the services the city would be providing to the property as well as the approximate timeline that would take effect. In this case, the services that will be provided are essentially the same services we provide to any residential area within our corporate limit. Staff is recommending City Council approve the provided resolution as an emergency this evening to expedite the filing given the statutory timeline. Again, if you recall, our resolutions require 2 readings. A lot of these state mandated timelines fall within the timeline that we would require us to do an emergency, so that is the purpose of this being presented as an emergency.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Do we have a motion to pass Resolution 2021 as an emergency? Moved by, Councilman Scrivens? Yes. Do we have a second?
So I'll second that.
Seconded by the Vice President. Further discussion? Roll call?
Vice President Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item Resolution 2021-T, titled Emergency. This is adopting a statement regarding zoning buffer for the proposed annexation of the property at 800 Hedges Road from Xenia Township to City of Xenia, declaring an emergency. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you again. Resolution 2021-T related to this annexation at 800 Hedges Road. In this case, this resolution establishes a policy statement regarding the possible incompatible land uses and zoning buffers. This requirement is under ORC for a Type 2 expedited annexation, which has been requested for the property. The resolution states that in the event that the property is annexed and the city zoning permits uses on the annexed property that are incompatible with uses permitted by township zoning in adjacent properties, that the city would require the property owner to provide a buffer between the annexed territory and the adjacent unincorporated areas. So again, this is a statutory requirement to address these potential conflicts between the municipal and township zoning. Council is reminded that approval of the resolution does not acknowledge the existence of any incompatibilities, and based on staff's evaluation, we don't see that there would be any with this particular annexation. As with the prior item, be reminded also that the passage of the resolution does not obligate the city to ultimately accept the annexation, but this is simply a part of the statutory process in consideration of the annexation. So this evening, staff is recommending council approve this resolution again as an emergency because of the statutory timeline that would allow this item further consideration down the road.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-T as an emergency?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Scrivens. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded also by the Vice President. Further discussion?
So question, City Manager. So what's our timeline So we're responding to the application to the county commissioners, right?
Yeah, so they have notified us that the petition has been filed.
Correct. That's coming from the county commissioners to us, right? And then, assuming that this petition is accepted by the commissioners, that will come back to us as the city, and then we will vote on whether we concur with that, and we will proceed with the annexation.
You would have to adopt an ordinance that would ultimately then accept the annexation, and then there's a time frame after that before it officially becomes effective.
Right. So, go ahead.
You have to wait 60 days. If the county approves it, we have to wait 60 days, and then council has to vote to either accept or not accept the annexation.
Right.
Which is an ordinance, thus you have 30 days after
And
that.
this would be an attached annexation, so is that correct?
Under a type 2 annexed, type 2 expedited annexation, yes.
Correct, okay. Just one last question. So, just in the spirit of collaboration with the township, and obviously, I'm assuming the commissioners have informed the township as well too, but what would be our process to reach out to the township and say, this is, we've approved this support at this point, and we're awaiting that, but just so that we are in sync with the township on this, and that they're not being caught off guard with this?
The township will serve notice. Now, we have no specific procedure for these, internal procedure, that we necessarily follow in terms of necessitating any outreach and communication with the township. I can tell you that the county commission received no commentary from the township or any other interested parties as it related to their initial action.
Okay. Can I just make a request that we do just by grace notice back to the township on this with what we've done, and that we do that in the future with annexations. I know we've talked in the past that annexations are infrequent. However, we've done 3 of these now here within the short span time of 3 months, and I just think that would help us with the collaboration with the township. So I'm not saying that that's a requirement, just to reach out to Alan and once again just to have a communication with him on that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem. I think if there is a standing expectation, I would suggest that maybe council look at adopting some type of policy language that would direct some procedures with that.
Right.
Short of that, this evening, there can be a sort of a standing expectation that we would reach out and at least communicate with the township the city's intention to consider this item.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Vice President Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Moreno.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Our next item, item 5, is an administrative motion authorizing the purchase of a tandem dump truck chassis from Stoops Freightliner Dayton through the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program, including a bed, salt spreader, and snowplow unit from Henderson Products Incorporated through the Sourcewell Purchasing Program. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. As planned in our 5-year CIP and as has been included in our 2021 budget, staff is requesting council's authorization to move forward with the purchase of a replacement tandem axle dump truck for our water maintenance operations. As detailed in your agenda report, staff has worked to extend the life of this frontline unit as much as we can. However, we have reached a point of diminishing return with the current truck needing extensive work to keep it safe and roadworthy, and our mechanics advising that it's not worth putting that additional money into this frontline piece of equipment. Staff's recommending replacement through a purchase of a Freightliner 114 SD chassis made available from Stoops Freightliner Dayton in the amount of $92,714, and a dump bed, salt spreader, and snowplow unit, which we purchased from Henderson Products Incorporated in the amount of $99,942. The combined total does fall within our allotted budget that was approved in the water fund this year. The chassis would be procured through the ODOT purchasing program, and the accessory components purchased would be made through Sourcewell Purchasing Program, formerly the NJPA. Some of the council members may remember that's a cooperative purchasing program that we participated in. So pursuant to state law, just withdrawing the point that we don't have to do any in-house competitive bidding because we're participating with these programs that have already done that. The purchase is requested at this time because we're anticipating a lead time of 6 to 7 months. And the desire would be to get this vehicle purchased, outfitted, and ready to hit the street in time for the fall-winter season, the coming winter season later this year, because these tandem dump trucks, as we saw in February, are a critical part of our frontline response, particularly for snow treatment, water main breaks in particular as well. So that's why we're bringing this to council at this point. So staff is requesting approval of the administrative motion as presented to authorize the purchase of these components for this vehicle, and allow us to move forward.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to authorize the purchase?
So moved.
Moved by the mayor. Do we have a second?
A second.
Seconded by Vice President. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Roll call, please.
Vice President Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Item 6 is an administrative motion awarding a bid, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Custom Landscape Contractors for the James T. Henry Senior Circle Roundabout Landscaping Project. Mr. City Manager, would you like to explain this?
Yes, thank you, sir. Staff is requesting the award of a bid and the authority to execute a contract, as indicated with the firm Custom Landscape Contractors, again, for the James T. Henry Senior Circle Roundabout Landscaping Project. The project is the last phase for the roundabout that was installed off of Columbus Street, or on Columbus Street. The installation includes stone hardscape features with lettering denoting the roundabout's name, landscaping with then a central obelisk containing "Welcome to Xenia" signage, and I believe we shared the rendering with council previously. Custom Landscape Contractors was the lone bidder after a second bid attempt, and staff has completed a reference check on the firm, and the respondents offered positive appraisals of this particular firm. So we're asking for council's blessing this evening to move forward with the installation of these improvements.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to award the bid? So moved. Moved by Councilman Scrivens. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by the mayor. Any comments or questions regarding this? Yes, Councilman Scrivens, sure.
I want to thank the city planner, Mr. Brian Forstner, for his yeoman's work on this job. This project's been ongoing now since 2018, and we're going to finally bring it to a close here pretty soon. And it's just going to be a very nice way marker for that entrance to the city of Xenia. As a matter of fact, we should take a look at all of our way markers going into the city. 35 East, 42 coming in, 380. I mean, we should pep it up a little bit. I mean, if we're proud of our hometown, then we should show it. And with that, Mr. President, I thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Scrivens, for those comments. Anyone else? All right, roll call.
Vice President Dean.
No.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean.
Aye.
Councilman Branham.
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Our next item, item 7, is also an administrative motion. This is authorizing the city manager to execute change order number 1 with Institute One Technologies for an additional 1,666 linear feet of sewage slit lining as part of the 2020 sewer pipeline rehabilitation project. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Staff recently became aware of a major sanitary sewer line concern in the area of Cincinnati Avenue, and this is requiring immediate attention to ensure regulatory compliance. Council previously approved the 2020 sanitary sewer pipeline rehabilitation project. That was a contract that we executed with In Situ Form Technologies. To our benefit, the firm is still on site and nearing completion of that initial project. And what is needed for this additional 1,666 linear feet is essentially slip lining of that section of sanitary sewer along Cincinnati. They're willing to extend their scope of work to include rehabbing the identified troubled area, and so that's much to our benefit that they don't have to come out and remobilize. Staff is requesting that council approve the administrative motion this evening authorizing this change order for an additional $90,134.80 with In Situ Form Technologies for this urgent repair. Might add, that's we think the worst case. It could very well be less than that once they actually get in there, but we want to make sure that we had enough to cover the entire need. So again, an urgent need, and that's why we're bringing it up in this fashion.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to execute the change order?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Branham. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Urschel. Further discussion on this item? Roll call.
Vice President Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Branham,
Aye.
Councilman Urschel,
Aye.
Mayor Mays,
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Our next item is an administrative motion approving the schedule of bills in the amount of $419,000. Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing specific to reference on the bills this evening.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the schedule of bills tonight?
So moved.
Moved by the Vice President. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Dean. Any discussion or questions? All right. I'm not seeing any. Roll call.
Vice President Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean,
Aye.
Councilman Branham,
Aye.
Councilman Urschel,
Aye.
Mayor Mays,
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is appointed officials' reports. I'll start first with Finance Director. Mr. Duke, do you have anything for us tonight?
I have nothing else to share this evening.
Thank you very much. Long night, but a question for you. So there's talk of the extension on income tax filing on the federal level. Have we heard anything about that?
Yeah, sure. Actually, the state has also voted to extend that deadline to May 17th
Okay.
to mirror the federal deadline. We as a city are actually subject to that state deadline, so we don't have any discretion here locally on what that deadline would be. And so the local filing deadline for city taxes is also now May 17th.
May 17th? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question will be, is if you owe, do you have to pay by the 15th of April still, or by the May 17th?
No, that extension would apply not only to the filing, but also to the payment. Now, if you have some estimated payments or something that's under withheld, it could impact your penalty or interest if you're still delaying that even further.
Sure.
But aside from those types of scenarios, there would be no penalty applied for waiting for payment until you file on the 17th.
All right, thank you very much. Anything for the Finance Director tonight?
So I just wanted to make one comment. So we had a lot of discussion about Rita's presence or not, and I just wanted to just congratulate you, the work with them, and the fact that they're now manned. And I've referred 3 or 4 folks directly into the office, and they came back with very positive feedback in terms of the service that they received from the Rita desk there. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's terrific to hear. We are excited that they're here in the office. We do not necessarily want to encourage people as that is the method. Certainly it's an option.
Right.
And they're happy to help, but we do see the online filing or even some of the Dropbox filings as a safer and sometimes even more expedient way for people to file. So we want to continue to encourage those as methods for filing, but I am pleased that Rita's here and available to help the community when they need it.
All right, thank you, Councilman Urschel. Thank you, Mr. Finance Director. Next will be Batum Law Director. Thank you for joining us tonight. Do you have anything for us tonight?
I just have one thing I wanted to update council on. If you recall, in July of last year, I filed a claim in the opiate litigation against Purdue Pharma. I filed a claim on the city's behalf. Seeing our first movement on that case, I just recently received a notice of distribution, notice of directive. Apparently, Purdue Pharma has filed a Chapter 11 reorganization plan. So I again had to submit, if the law firm had more than 4 clients, there's a different voting mechanism. Of course, as we are one, we will be getting ballots. Once I receive that information, I'll share that with council so you can tell me what type of vote you want me to submit. As long as it's taken to scene even this, I think we're going to be involved in this litigation for a very long time. But we'll stick with it. Hopefully we'll get some money out of it. If you recall, we filed a claim for almost $16 million, $10,000 in past damages, and almost 10 million in future damages that were alleged from 2020 to 2040 based on the overprescription of the opiates. So we'll keep an eye on that. I want to wish you all a happy Easter. Won't see you again before that, and we will see you in person on the 8th.
Thank you very much, Madam Director. Anything for the law director tonight? Moving on, thank you again. Mr. City Manager.
Unfortunately, I do have several items this evening. First, I wanted to report to council that I did participate as Xenia's Chief Executive Officer with other managers and mayors from around the county in the Greene County Public Health District Advisory meeting about a week ago. This is an annual opportunity for a budget review, update on services, any major issues. Of course, this year was unlike any in recent memory from a public health standpoint, so it was a pretty long meeting. But again, I think we've, as a city staff, city leadership, I know with council as well, been very pleased with how our local public health has acquitted itself during this process. We may not all agree with state mandates and state direction, but I would give praise to Melissa and her staff. They've been very good to work with, very reasonable in application of these standards. And they've, of course, had a very difficult job over that period. But again, no outstanding issues from a financial standpoint, from a service delivery standpoint, and I think generally a good meeting, but I do want to let you know that that meeting occurred. Next, we have been notified that, as we've advised council, that we will be receiving a sum of money. It's not finalized yet, but in the neighborhood of $5 million as part of the American Rescue Plan, federal legislation that has passed. We will need to begin engaging council on a discussion as to how those funds might be utilized. And our intent is to move forward, as we've communicated with council, with an initial discussion with our Budget and Finance Subcommittee, our Standing Committee, and just noting that at this point in time, we do not have guidance from the federal government or the state of Ohio in terms of what types of restrictions will be in place with the use of those dollars. So again, we'll initiate that conversation with council. We do know it'll be coming in 2 different tranches, one this year and one probably in January of next year. So we won't get all that money up front, but it is some resources to help fill some revenue gaps and perhaps to address some other needs that have been created as a result of COVID that we think can bring some compounding value. So stay tuned on that conversation. Next, I wanted to mention that we are faced with some potential severe weather this evening. I want to remind folks in general, it's a good idea to have a weather app on your cell phone, weather radio, to stay alert, particularly this time of year, particularly in this region, given our history. Encourage folks also to look at signing up for our HyperReach service. That is not a service that gives you weather alerts, but in the aftermath of an event, that's how we would put information out and provide resources and what to do to the community. So again, go to our website, and there's a link right from our website if you wish to participate in that program, and if you're not currently. Finally, I did want to make a special request of council this evening ask you to consider a motion. We typically, that was not scheduled for this evening originally, we just got communication today from Montgomery Insurance, who is our local insurance broker. We, of course, currently have our property and liability insurance through PEP, the Public Entities Pool, and our typical renewal process begins May 1. So we would typically bring an agenda item back to council in April. However, Mr. Montgomery has advised us that we can run through an expedited process, what they call an automatic renewal process, that could potentially save us some money. I don't feel like I'm empowered at this point to unilaterally commit on behalf of the council. So what I would ask for this evening is just a voice motion and roll to authorize me to go ahead and commit to that verbally. We will still bring that agenda item back to council so you can see what the final numbers for that renewal would be. And we are intending to recommend to council that we stick with PEP for the coming year. So again, what I'm requesting simply is a motion to authorize me to make a verbal commitment to PEP for that expedited renewal process.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to authorize the city manager on behalf of the city to enter an agreement?
So moved.
Moved by the vice president. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
By the mayor. Any discussion regarding this? And thank you for bringing that to us tonight for the potential savings.
Absolutely.
Absolutely want to jump on that. So if we have no other discussion, we need to vote on this, correct? Roll call, please.
Vice President Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Branham?
Aye.
Councilman Urschel.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Smith.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Merriman?
That is all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. Moving on to reports of boards and commissions. Our first is Board of Zoning Appeals, which is chaired by Mayor Mays.
Thank you, sir. We did meet this past Monday. We had just one public hearing, a variance request from Wendy's regarding a setback of the speaker. As they do their remodeling, there was an issue with the setback of the speaker that normally requires 250 feet, and the variance request was approved, and that is it.
Thank you very much. Anything for Board of Zoning Appeals? Nothing else. Okay, moving on to council comments. Before we start, I would like to make the comment, also wish everyone a happy Easter, and to remind the citizens. Ms. Johnson, do we have this slide tonight? No? Okay, that's okay. So we have an event coming up a week from Saturday. That will be Saturday, April 3rd. Okay, can you see it?
Yep.
All right. There we go.
Don't move it.
All right, so
Vanna White.
Easter egg raid and giveaway. What this is going to do is replace the current Easter egg hunt due to the COVID-19. Just felt like it's probably better just to give the eggs away safely. It'll be a drive-through event. We're asking people to not get out of your car and do not try to come up to the Easter Bunny. Just for the safety's sake. We're expecting hundreds of cars coming through here. Giving bags of eggs to the first 500 families, kids that come through. And on the back, it's hard to see, but we're going to have you enter Shawnee Park area coming in from Weaver Street. So this is on the city website. You feel free to, and this flyer went out to Xenia Community Schools. Thank you for them for passing that out. But that time frame will be 10 o'clock is when the giveaway will start. The mayor will be there. That's going from 10 to 11 or until supplies last. Certainly like to thank Xenia Area Association of Churches and Ministries for the donation of the eggs this year, as well as the City of Xenia Board of Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities. And for those that have volunteered their time for that event. So moving on to other council comments, I'm going to start with Councilwoman Dean.
I would just like to thank everyone for the feedback for and against. It was good to hear that. This is the most I've ever seen. Normally I see stuff on social media, and that's not really feedback. Or, I mean, it is, but send us an email. I'm sure all of us.
It's not necessarily constructive feedback.
Yeah, I'm sure all of us are more than willing to meet up with you and get coffee or email back and forth. If you want my personal cell, give me a call. I thought it was really great that we got so much feedback. I think the community needs to do more of that. Not just Xenia, just in general, like get involved in some way, shape, or form. So that's all.
Thank you very much. Councilman Branham, what do you have for us tonight?
I completely agree with Rebecca on that aspect. I hope that this opens a door where more Xenians are adamant to show up to discuss the budgets, just show up to discuss the CIPs and get involved in those committees. We're rolling out some new committees, standing committees that people can get involved in. So I'm looking forward to that. I would like to pass my congratulations off to Captain Brian Brenneman on his retirement, and then I would also like to pass my condolences off to the family of the firefighter of Mr. Steve Helling. So my deepest sympathy goes out to that family.
Thank you, Councilman Branham. Councilman Urschel.
Just one comment. I've participated in a number of discussions with the United Way of Greene County. They are United Way is looking to establish a program that they've had in Montgomery County where they are going to be funding case managers for families with school-aged children that are at risk of homelessness. And they'll be working through the schools to identify the children, and the hope is to come alongside the families prior to them actually experiencing homelessness. The good thing about this is they're going to be providing for 50 families case managers and additional funds for the families that are at risk as they go through the case management to help them either if they're at risk of not being able to pay their rent or utilities or other items, transportation, those types of things. And they're looking at doing this case management for over a year. And I think that's a great opportunity for us to bring some of our families in Xenia that are struggling and to get some additional help and guidance and support. So I'm going to continue to participate in that group. We do not have any other representatives from other municipalities that have been brought into that. I came through the context that they requested a presence from the Xenia Area Association of Churches and Ministries, and so I'm formally representing that group there. But I'm definitely going to be an advocate that for our families and kids here in Xenia to try and take advantage of this as much as possible. So anyways, good on them, and the hope is we've had great representation on that forum from all the county agencies and both the for-profit and non-profit organizations that also participate here in the county as well too. So just looking at, we've got really good things coming out of that.
Thank you very much, Councilman Urschel.
Mr. President, I apologize for interrupting, and I should have brought, and I'm remiss that I didn't bring this up earlier, but if I might have a moment. Mr. Branham brought up the passing of one of our staff members, and I just distracted tonight with public hearing and missed this in my notes, but we do want to take a minute to acknowledge the loss of this firefighter. This is the third member of our city family that we've lost in 6 months or so, and this has been a hard year for our staff. So just want to acknowledge his commitment to our community. Served our fire division for a very long time, and we will be having a very special acknowledgement of his service Monday. We'll be announcing some details here over the weekend, but we will have a processional of apparatus representing most of the fire divisions in our region that will be escorting that body after the services that will occur on Monday. So I've shared some of those details with the council, but we'll be putting a traffic alert out publicly. So we want to make folks aware of that, but moreover, just ask for folks in our community to keep that family and our fire division family in their prayers as a result of this unexpected loss.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Mayor Mays.
I had a couple of really good meetings this week, the last 2 weeks. I had an opportunity to meet with some folks with AIA and just looking forward to some things with the July event. I think we've got Ryan and Christina are working very hard on our July 4th event on July 2nd. So I'm just excited to build that partnership with them and see them get involved and some other folks get involved. I know Devlin's very involved and doing some things with that. So just really excited about what's coming down the pike. Had an opportunity to meet with somebody from Payne Theological, Kim King, and hear some of the things that are happening out there. They want to be good partners to this community, and I just appreciate the time with them. A couple of people to thank. I wanted to thank Xenia Shoe and Leather, specifically Matt Jobson. Just again trying to highlight businesses as we go along, and this last week Matt specifically spent time with my son, my 10-year-old, and they made a contraption for his homemade sword and took 20 minutes, 30 minutes of his day to take him in the back, work with him, show him how it's done, let him work some of the tools, and it's just, this is why we love Xenia. You know, it was just a great afternoon. I wanted to thank I don't know who it was, but some folks from public service. I just want to make sure I highlight them. One of my high school girls, her dog was out running around, and the guy saw her chasing the dog down and helped get the dog back. And I just appreciate that. That's looking out for each other. Got a report from somebody from my church, Officer Sergeant Faubert. Is that right? And just some things that he was doing specifically, checking in on some college students and making sure they were all right, and just the way that he reached out to them, it meant a lot to this person, to the staff member of this college student. So just really appreciate what they're doing. Want to congratulate Billy Carrico and the opening of 51 East Salon. They are open, and she's doing things there, and I got a chance to stop in and talk to her for a little bit. And Billy and I always laugh. We don't always see eye to eye, but we enjoy talking, and we both love Xenia, and I'm just really excited that she's invested in town and opened the shop downtown, put a lot of work into that shop. It looks great. You would never know it was Linda's and that, so it's just amazing. We've already mentioned the Easter egg hunt. Certainly want to make sure that people come out for that. Don't forget the toy show this Saturday from 9 to 4. Again, talked to Rob and Danielle today. Rob was so busy getting things set up. They've got 5 buildings going, and it's just going to be a great day. We're really excited for them. It is going to be Easter weekend, and I do hope that people have an opportunity to do more than just the egg hunt. There's Good Friday services. So many churches have different types of services to celebrate Easter, and many of us have, strong values regarding the meaning behind Easter. And so I do hope that people take this opportunity to visit one of the area churches. There's a lot of churches to choose from in Xenia, so I hope that people go out and actually do that. And then, of course, also want to extend my condolences to the Heller family and the friends and family. I've had an opportunity to talk with Chief Rigsby for a while, and then a few days ago I had a family member in the ER, and so I ran into some of the guys, and there's a lot of hurt, and there's a lot of sadness just because that's their friend, that's somebody that they do life with, and I've assured them that we are praying. I can see the station from my back porch, and we just stand there. So my kids have prayed. We do, and I know a lot of people are. So I just want to remind them that they are seen and they are loved and they are cared for.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mace. Vice President Dean.
Thank you. I don't have any comments tonight.
Thank you very much. I have one comment. I did get an email from Council Scrivens. Do you want to bring up tonight your question to the law director? No, another time. Housekeeping. Regarding, okay. Thank you very much. So I have nothing else tonight other than to thank those that are watching, to thank those that are in the audience tonight, wishing everyone in our community to stay safe and a happy Easter. We have no work session scheduled for tonight. Before we adjourn tonight, I would like to take a brief 5-minute recess. Councilman Scrivens, I skipped you. Oh my gosh. All right, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things. First, we definitely want to offer our condolences to firefighter Helling's wife and family and the many friends. It's something that we never get used to, especially if it's one of our own, and he's certainly one of our own. And like the city manager said, when we lose one of our own family, it's tough. On the other hand, we'd like to congratulate firefighter Brenneman for 29 years. I don't know how he made it, but you made it to retirement. Now life really begins. So thank you for your service, sir, and we're looking forward to great things, greater things from you in the future. I want to congratulate our finance director, not only on his monthly report, but on Oral Roberts coming across and playing basketball and beating the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you and your alma mater, and we're looking forward to continue playing ball.
Thanks.
So ball, Oral Roberts. Wanted to definitely say Happy Easter to everybody. This is the week that was, and we should take serious note of that and why it was. Want to encourage everyone who has not gotten a shot that now the door is open, the window's open, the cash register is closed, you don't have to pay. So get your shot, please. Help us to help everybody else. Want to congratulate Councilwoman Dean on her effort with the DORA. It was a yeoman's job.
I didn't do anything.
And we just congratulate you on your leadership on the issue. Maybe this issue will come back up. I'm sure it will. It's the resurrection season, and I'm sure it will come back up. And if there's some fine tuning to the DORA, I'm sure we'll have more support for it.
I didn't do anything with the DORA. I just slapped my name to it, so they did everything with it. So.
Well, it was your good name. So. Eventually, Mr. City Manager, Mr. President, I'd like to get the council to arrange a tour of the Xenia Municipal Court. That's one installation that we haven't really gotten a grip on yet, and it's almost 3 months into the mission with the new judge in the court. So we'd like to see that happen in short order. And finally, Mr. President, Madam Mayor, are we still scheduled for a cleanup?
This Saturday?
Yes,
At
ma'am.
this point, I'm planning to be here at this building at 9 a.m. If you want to join me, I hope you come join me.
All right.
My kids know that it's trash day. I've promised them that we will end at an appropriate time so we can make the toy show. But yes, I do plan to be here at 9, and I hope you all will join me. Just, I think that our city manager was going to work with one of the public service people to give us a designated area.
Yeah, we will be all set. We'll have,
Fantastic.
one of us can use the truck to pick up any trash. We'll have gloves and trash cans or trash bags and so forth.
Come pick up trash with us on Saturday.
And on that note, if you can't come here, you live and where you live, there's trash where you live. Get out there and pick it up. It's springtime now, and every time the trash man goes by, you know it blows your way. So let's exercise a little cleanup, fix up, paint up here in the spring and turn Xenia really is someplace special. Turn it into a really is someplace special. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And my apologies for Xenia out there. So at this time, again, there is no work session. Before we adjourn tonight, council is going to move into executive session regarding pending litigation. We would like to conduct that meeting right here in the chamber chamber, is that correct? So we will ask our guests tonight if you could please exit the room in 5 minutes or so. We'll have a brief recess of 5 minutes. We'll reconvene here about 10 till 8. So at this time, do we need a motion now to go to executive? We still do? Okay.
Well, do you want to read? You have two choices. You could do the motion, and then go ahead and leave and come back in, or recess and then come back and do the motion.
Okay, let's just recess and then we'll come back and do the motion. Thank you very much.